Hello YouTube! Scott here, and I am back with another instant review. So I've just finished watching the season finale of She-Hulk Attorney Outlaw. Episode 9 is called Whose Show Is This? And wow. I mean, that's really all I have to say about it. This episode was all over the place. I think I can say with great certainty that literally nobody could have predicted how this was going to end. There were times when I was like, I love that they did this. There were times when I was kind of sick to my stomach from where it was going. And times like, did they really just do that? But, it comes off the satisfying ending to the season. I'm not sure if... I don't know if it really leaves... Yeah, it does kind of leave the idea for Season 2 open. So there is that. There are a couple of cameos in here that are... One is actually pretty nicely expected. The other one was ruined a little bit for me because it was in a mid-credits scene. So if you watch through the credits and you see the names popping up, you're like, wait a minute, they're in this too? So that was a little bit spoiled. But otherwise, I mean... Yeah, I just gotta tell you about it, okay? Okay, so it starts off with a parody of the opening of the Incredible Hulk TV show from the 70s with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Except, of course, it's Jen doing everything that Bruce Banner... No, not Bruce, because in the TV show it was David Banner. They didn't make any reference to that. That's interesting. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, in that TV show that they're parodying, it wasn't Bruce Banner. They changed his name to David Banner. But anyway, they do the whole opening like that. That's like the very beginning. And you get the kind of She-Hulk that they would have made in the 70s because it's not, CGI, super tall, like lean and fit She-Hulk. It's kind of like a cross-dressing Lou Ferrigno. But then all that goes out the window when the show opens proper and Jen wakes up in jail. Specifically in the same cell that the Abomination used to be in. That little rampage at the Female Lawyer of the Year Awards got her locked up. But the DA is willing to not press charges as long as she wears an inhibitor from now on. So we see the outcome of that. She gets hounded by reporters, winds up losing her job because she can't be She-Hulk. She moves out of her house and back in with her parents. We see a shot of her bedroom, which I thought was interesting. She had posters for Legally Blonde and Aaron Brockovich on the wall, and kind of like, okay, we get it. You obviously always wanted to be a reporter. But she's still trying to figure out, trying to track down intelligentsia because she wants to take them down in court. Which is the right way to go about it. And especially now that she's depowered, right? So she's got Nikki's help with this. Jen's mom shows Nikki this video that Jen and her friends made when they were in college where she's like kind of twerking and smacking her butt. And unbeknownst to Jen, Nikki puts it up on the Intelligentsia website. Now you can argue about the morality of that, but the idea was to, flush out Hulk King. And it works because Nikki gets invited to one of their things that is quite clearly like a freaking men's rights rally. But, she realizes she can't go, so she tries to get Pug to cover for her. And she's communicating with him via earbud. He goes in, he has no idea what to do, because thankfully he's nothing like these guys. But she gets him ingratiated well enough because frickin' Todd is there. Remember the douchebag with the Dora Milaje spear and the obvious She-Hulk fetish? Turns out that might have been a little bit faked, because he's Hulk King. In retrospect, it probably should have been obvious, since he showed up so often. But it goes on about this thing, how She-Hulk didn't earn her powers, and superpowers should only go to people who, deserve them, so on and so forth. Now, at the same time, Jen decided that she needed to take a mental health break. And she went back to Abomination, back to Emil's retreat, or whatever he's calling it. And, she goes looking for him at the lodge. Now it turns out the lodge is where this intelligentsia meeting has been set up. And the Abomination is there as a special guest speaker. Not Emil, the Abomination, because he's not using his inhibitor. Now, the one thing that got me at this point, I kind of feel like Emil should have known what these guys were up to. But to be fair, there's no cell service at the retreat, so maybe he didn't, and he's just trying to make some money, like he said. So he's there fully abominated out. And Jen walks in, and everybody's pissed at her. And Todd gives the whole freaking game away about how he was the one who stole her blood, and he's like, super smug about it. Like, they synthesized her blood so that he could use it to become a Hulk, and he does right in front of them. And she's like questioning that, like, to the cameras, like, is this really happening? And then everything just gets crazy. The Abomination is protecting her, scattering these freaking, I'm calling them insults, I don't care, scattering them left and right. Titania bursts through the wall, as do Nikki and Pug, who tell Jen who, Todd is. Bruce jumps down through the ceiling, and through this whole thing, Jen is in complete disbelief. She hasn't transformed. She's talking to us, because that's what She-Hulk does. She breaks the fourth wall. She's like, is this the ending you wanted? And then it cuts to the Marvel screen on Disney Plus. Where you get all the selection of the different shows to watch. And you hear Jen like, hey, what are you doing? And off screen, she hulks up and punches out the She-Hulk. I'm calling it a screen. I don't care. And she decides she's going to fix this. And how does she do that? She swings down and smashes her way into Marvel Assembled. Now, I've never seen that, but it looks like it's a behind-the-scenes look at how the Marvel movies are made and stuff. So she goes into that, full CGI She-Hulk. Presumably this would be the real world, because it's basically a documentary of sorts, but nobody seems to really notice or care that she's She-Hulk. She leaves the set, or the studio, and goes into her own writer's room, where, she's talking about how ridiculous it is that, like, everybody showed up, and there's this whole plot about using her blood to create a supervillain, which has been done before. And the writers are talking about how Kevin thought it would work. And at that point, everybody's thinking, wait a minute, Kevin? Like Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel? Oh, I don't know if he's the head of Marvel, but he's the guy that basically birthed the MCU. But the thing is, if you're watching with subtitles on, Kevin in the subtitles is an acronym. So if you're watching like that it's not Feige. She says she's going to go talk to Kevin. Everybody laughs. She does it anyway. Fights her way past security at Marvel. This interesting scene with, like, the receptionist. She's like, I want to see Kevin. And he's like, well, can you sign this NDA, please? And, like, right after she signs it, he hits an alarm button. She's like, why did you make me do that if you're going to hit the button? Like, well, everybody has to sign it. She punches her way through security and gets into the room where Kevin is. And it turns out Kevin's a robot. Like an AI robot. I forget what it stood for, but I'm sure it made sense. Like, when she walks in, there's just screens showing all the MCU movies. And, Kevin comes down and tells her that, he was the one who figured out this ending. And it's kind of, like, his idea, obviously. And there's a little joke where he, like, talks her into transforming back into Jen so he can talk to her, but only when the camera's off because the special effect team has gone somewhere else. And they talk about it. And Jen goes full lawyer at this point and argues her case for a different ending. Todd doesn't wind up with Hulk powers. Bruce isn't even there. The Abomination has to turn back into Emil and take responsibility for the fact that he's been going on without his inhibitor because Jen vouched for him. And she says she wants Daredevil back because, well, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But then it cuts back to the show, and, she's She-Hulk again, and, Todd thinks she's going to murder him. Titania kind of thinks the same thing. She's watching the camera, and nothing happened to her, which was a little odd. I mean, at the very least, you'd think they'd be breaking and entering because she broke through the wall. But she tells Todd she will see him in court. And Daredevil drops in, and she's like, yeah, you kind of missed everything, sorry. But we see him later when Jen is having lunch with her family. Like, he's getting to know her family. They all really seem to like him. Her one aunt is like, so you work as a lawyer, but you don't make a lot of money, and it's this whole thing. And then Bruce walks up out of nowhere, talking about how he's been on Sakaar this whole time, and Hulk has a son. So, yeah, okay, safe to say they're probably going to set up for season 2, or a Hulk movie. Which is a little weird, because Jen was hoping for a movie, and Kevin said no. I don't see why. I would watch a movie of this. I'd watch the heck out of it. And then we don't get an end credit scene, but we get a mid-credit scene. And this is what I was talking about. Because Blonsky is back in his jail cell at damage control, and a portal opens up, and it's Wong. And Blonsky asks him if he got... he asked if he got wrapped up with another TV show. And I honestly thought they were doing like the fourth wall break because of what had just happened with Jen. But I just realized that we'd seen Wong earlier in the season watching TV, so that makes more sense. And for some reason, he breaks Emil out of jail to go live at Camartage. And it's not really explained why, because then it just goes to the credits. There's this really great Missy Elliott song, by the way, over the credits, where she samples Apache by the Sugar Hill Gang, and I kind of want to find that and put it on my playlist, to be honest. So, I just gotta say, I loved this show. The whole thing where it looked like it was a big men's rights conference at the end of this, or in the middle of this episode, was getting me a little queasy, because it looked like they were really going to have the upper hand after destroying Jen's life, but, I mean, everything worked out. You know, right at the end, which I can't believe I forgot until right now, she's like able to practice law again, and you know, she goes past this reporter on the way into the court to take on Todd, and she tells him that, you know, anyone who breaks the law has to face punishment. And the reporter's like, is that as a lawyer or a superhero? And she just says, both. And then he asks what she's wearing. What the hell? But anyway, this was... I know I just said this was a great show. I actually meant this was a great show overall. I loved the tone and the way it went. She-Hulk's a great character. Tatiana Maslany has nailed this character for me. Both Jen Walters and She-Hulk. And I am so ready for season 2. Because, I mean, this would be like the first Marvel show to get a season 2 if it did. Not counting the stuff that was on Netflix. But anyway. So, that's what I have to say. And this video's ran on longer than I thought. So, what do you guys think? Drop a comment down below. You know, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I don't know what I'm going to instant review after this. I haven't started Andor. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll take a break. I don't know. Either way, I have been Scott, and this has been an instant review, an offshoot of opinions no one cares about. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.